Why are there so many headlines and so many people saying email marketing is dead, email is the past, etc.? Why? What's the argument for saying that?
An oversaturated field. People receive too many emails, but the actual question is, are you sending good emails or bad emails? Be personal. The days of business talk and business jargon is done. B2B should really be P2P, which is person to person. You need to talk like a person, like
Thank
a real human
you.
being, and not like a corporate robot.
Thank you.
Otherwise, people are going to switch off.
Final thing I want to talk to you about is AI, right? Like, how is AI changing the game for email marketing, for the better or worse?
Shall I tell you about some of the stuff that I've been seeing, some crazy founders, some of the strategies that they've been doing? Because, yo, it's kind of crazy. My people, welcome back to another episode of Blocks to Bags.
Yeah, no, today's gonna be crazy because every time I talk to someone, I can't hear anything else than email marketing. They're always asking, "What's going on with email marketing?" And today we've decided to drop the gems. You said, of course, you're our resident marketing guru. So who else?
I love my email marketing, so I'm ready to drop some gems. Let's let the people know what's really happening.
A bit too much. For real, for real. You actually do love email marketing, and it's been a conversation and a topic I've had to listen to quite a lot. Not always by choice, but now I'm letting everyone else into the conversation.
Okay, cool.
So Seb, let me actually just go straight into it, right? Email marketing, is that not dead, bro?
Email marketing dead. Email marketing is not dead. Email marketing is well and truly alive, and it's something that's been slept on for years and years and years. Email was created over 20, 30 years ago, but it's still so relevant today. It's actually the one channel that people check every single day. You can check it on your phone, you can check it on your laptop. All the important information you get comes through email. Think about it. Acceptance letters, stuff from your flight tickets, bookings to confirmations. Like, we're just hardwired to just constantly be checking our emails. So to answer the question, email marketing is not dead. Email marketing is alive. It's just that people don't know how to use it in the right way.
All right, fair enough. So, but okay, you already pointed out one thing I was going to ask you, but like, I want you to go a bit deeper into it, right? Why, like you said, why are there so many headlines and so many people saying email marketing is dead? Email is the past, etc. Why? What's the argument for saying that?
It's an oversaturated field. People receive too many emails, but the actual question is, are you sending good emails or bad emails? If you look at your inbox today, I mean, it's filled with so much junk. A lot of stuff actually gets separated into different parts of the inbox. If you've got Gmail, if you've got Outlook, there's stuff around like promotions, social emails, that kind of thing. So I think because of that, a lot of people think that, email isn't really effective because people's inboxes are essentially saturated.
Okay, so you actually said something that was really interesting to me. I want you to break it down a bit further, right? You said people are saying email marketing is dead because people are basically sending out bad emails versus good emails. So what actually separates a good email marketing campaign or approach versus like the bad that we're seeing every day? What are you seeing that differentiates those that are winning with email versus those that are struggling to make that actually deliver results?
How you actually think about email, number one. It's not just like a one and done thing. Like, there's so many different ways of like using it. Whenever people think about email marketing, they might just think about like your trusty newsletter and that newsletters aren't that effective. And you know what? I personally don't think newsletters are that effective in today's day and age. I've sent out loads of newsletters and I think it's actually just a waste of time and people are like completely over newsletters. Unless it's a value-based newsletter and something that's actually genuinely adding values to people's lives, which in a lot of the B2B world and B2B marketing world, it really isn't value-based. So the first question is your emails adding value?
That's so interesting, bro. I feel like everyone has it. The more you say that, the more I'm like thinking of all the newsletters I get from brands nowadays. And I'm like, does every brand need to have a newsletter? And do I need insights that every brand is going to tell me? I'm not sure that I do. So it sounds like what you're saying is people have latched onto newsletters, for example, as that is what email marketing is. And instead of thinking widely and deeply about it, they're just kind of going straight into doing the newsletter, but not really actually thinking about how that reader is gonna, or the person that's gonna get that newsletter is gonna interact with it.
So
is that the right way to think?
Emails, the way I see it, there's different types of emails. There's stuff that you could do with nets, which is sending sort of like newsletters and there's stuff that you could do with spears, which is targeted, personalized kind of emails. I think one way that you can, nets versus spears. A lot of people are kind of using nets where it's like, I'm gonna throw this wide net and just see who kind of responds and who kind of comes into sort of my universe, when there's different approaches to it. And I think in a world that's becoming like way more personalized, actuals don't really work anymore. Let's be honest. So I think that's lazy marketing if you really ask me. One idea that has kind of, that I've used really well and that's kind of benefited me is the idea of nurture marketing and using email nurturing. Nurture marketing is the idea that the person on the other end needs multiple emails and multiple messages to really bring them into like your universe, your brand, your product that you're kind of selling. And it's not just like a one and done thing. There's like loads of different examples where I've used email sort of nurture marketing tactics. So when I was at Notion, my VC, one thing that we would do is we would send out emails on behalf of investors to the founders that they're kind of tracking, but it wouldn't just be like a catch-all, hey, it would be like, hey, how's everything going? We would personalize it to make it look like it's coming from the investor. And like, you would drop some value and you'd make sure that you do this on a monthly basis. We're just releasing a new go-to-market webinar, and I thought that this would actually be useful for your company as you guys are at this stage. Let me know what you think about this. You know, a month later, hey, we're hosting an event, but I thought I'll send you the invite before I actually send it out to like the general public. Let me know if you want to come to the kind of event. And the idea of nurture marketing is to kind of elicit some sort of response from the person on the other end of the kind of email. Yeah, so it's like kind of throwing them like a hook with a carrot dangled on top of it.
That's crazy, bro. I love that. The hook and carrot. We'll come back to that later because that's something you and I talked a lot about. But basically, because you actually said that you're dropping so many gems right now, right? Like nets are like they're very traditional, and a lot of brands, a lot of folks who are working in marketing think about like newsletters as a net, right? They try to use newsletters as a net, but in your universe, probably, let's say, you know, you're a VC company, right? You have a whole different type of, your data set is not comprised just of founders or the same level of founders, right? There's going to be even just companies at different funding stages. But then I think you also touched on the point of like value-driven content. And then, so the value-driven content from what you're saying is things like, all right, I'm going to do an event. Let me let you know about that. You're giving them value. It sounds like you guys are hella tricky, the modern marketer, right? Because what you're doing is you're creating artificial value too, because you're saying to them, instead of me giving this out to everyone, I'm just going to give it to you first.
That's the exact right way to think about it.
Is that the right way to think about it?
What better channel to serve people this sort of value than email? It's personal, it's kind of professional at the same time. But yeah, for me, like the best sort of first party data or information that you can collect, the way I rank it in order is basically phone number, email, and then the rest, it doesn't even matter. But for me, obviously phone numbers can be a bit too personal, especially in the B2B context. So yeah, like it might be too intrusive, although I have used it in certain contexts. When I was at Fanbytes, we did a campaign called Marketers in Pajamas, where we'd send people like text messages. It's essentially like bulletins on like TikTok marketing via text for those who couldn't even bother to open like their email. But in the B2B world, I would say generally email is probably like the best form of like kind of like marketing channel that there is. That's just like gonna land in people's sort of inboxes. It captures their attention. They look at it every single day. With other things like social media, ads, so on and so forth, you're at the mercy of the algorithms, if you know what I'm saying, right? So yeah, email is, as much as we like to hate on it and that it's been there for ages, it's still actually one of like the most relevant channels to like personally reach people.
I feel like you just made a point that I feel like no, people don't really talk about, or like social media has become such a, like, it feels like a central piece for like lots of marketing strategies. But like you said, you are at the mercy of the algorithms, right? Like depending on the engagement, depending on who clicks it, that's gonna then determine who gets to see it too. So I like where you're going with your approach to marketing or what you're saying, but I guess can you like make it a little bit more real for us? So let's say, you know, let's say there's a brand that comes to you, they want to build like an email marketing strategy for the modern day, right? Like they want to build a really unique, modern email marketing strategy, like if you had to build that from scratch, right? What are like the things that what's the framework you're gonna start using, and what are you gonna start with?
So the first thing is the value proposition and what I have to offer them, right? No one's really gonna answer your door unless you have something to kind of give them. So before I even start getting into the emails, I'll be like, cool, over the next 6 months, what things are we doing as a business? Do we have events? Do we have content that's coming out, such as guides, exclusive videos, podcasts? I'll just make a list of everything that a business has in terms of like marketing assets and just like figure out, okay, cool, what can we use actually with these kind of people that we're targeting via email? So number one is to kind of like make a list of all the valuable things that you can offer your potential client.
So like an inventory of what you have, basically, the value add you can give to your.
I'm a big believer in value and value marketing.
I love that. That's a crazy thing to say. You know that's a crazy thing to say, because I feel like one of the things with email is like just like with the newsletter, right? Everyone is just doing it for the sake of doing it. But so are you saying actually sometimes when you're not creating value and you're just doing that, that actually can end up hurting you more?
They don't have time. They don't care. If it's not valuable to them, why should they listen? They're just going to block you. So yeah, think of the value that you have. And if you don't have any value to add, don't bother. Yeah. Touching on that kind of like point of value as well. I think one thing that's often overlooked is like insights. And that's something that a business can kind of offer via email. So if you've got really good insights or access to insights, think about how you can package that in a really cool format. Cool. So we said value, that's number one. Number two, email copy, very, very, very important. Be personal. We're gone. The days of business talk and business jargon is done. B2B should really be P2P, which is person to person. You need to talk like a person, like a real human being, and not like a corporate robot. Otherwise, people are going to switch off. People want to build personal relationships with other people. They want to know that the person on the other end of the email is also a cool person, just like them, and they're just like a normal human being. So talk like a normal human being.
That makes so much sense. All right. Number 3, last one.
Please stop it with all of these flashy gifts and all of these like newsletter style overly designed emails. Yes. All right. Number one, the way email inboxes work is that because people get targeted with so many emails, there's something called a spam filter. And if you include too many images, if it looks too spammy, it's basically going to block it from going into people's inboxes. So you want your emails to actually look and feel as authentic as possible. And what's more authentic than a simple couple line email that's directed at the person with some just interesting copy, basically. That's my take on it. Don't add too many images. Gone are the days. That's like 2010 stuff. We in 2020 and beyond, you know what I'm saying?
You know what? I actually love this because, I've been in fintech for a minute, and like one of like my favorite newsletters is CB Insights. And the CB Insights guy is actually really smart. Like everyone knows he's just a really like, he knows his shit, right? But one of the things that I've noticed, right, is when I look at his newsletters, that the subject is always in lower caps. And it just reminds me of like when you get an email from a super senior person, right? It's almost like a text. It's just a medium for communication. They're just trying to say what they're trying to say. They're not trying to stick to like principles of how you're supposed to communicate. They're just trying. And I feel like that is why he's doing that too, right? Because you look at it and you're thinking, a brand is not going to come to me and send me a low cap, no formatted email. Why would they do that? Only like a serious person is going to come to my inbox. It kind of is like a reverse psychology thing, basically. Honestly, those top 3 sound crazy, right? Like, so the first thing is have an inventory of the value add you're going to create for your potential targets. P2P, person-to-person email. Every email you send should be an email that goes out from a person that another person is going to read. And that means how it's written, how it's communicated, what it communicates, how much it communicates, right? And then the third piece is, what was the third piece you said? All about making sure you don't actually over design it, no images at all. All right, so this is crazy. I want to talk to you. The final thing I want to talk to you about is AI, right? Like, and I feel like I'm already starting to get a sense of what you're gonna say. But how is AI changing the game for email marketing, for the better or worse?
Of generative AI. I don't know. Should I tell you about some of the stuff that I've been seeing? Some crazy founders, some of the strategies that they've been doing, because Yo, it's kind of crazy.
Drop us one gem. Seb, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna drop us one gem, yeah? And if everyone loves this video and they want to hear more, they're gonna tell us and we're gonna do a part 2. How about that? We have a deal?
One way, I guess, you could use AI if you're kind of trying to send emails in bulk and you're trying to personalize it, is to use AI to hyper personalize the emails. So, for example, one thing that you could do if you've got a list of sort of businesses, you can get an AI tool to scrape the businesses and figure out what their value proposition is or what their problem might be, and get that to personalize the kind of email and create some email copy that's hyper personalized to the kind of business. This is something that would have taken you or a sort of business development manager probably a couple of hours to a day to do beforehand. But nowadays, you can actually just get AI to just crawl the internet, crawl people's websites, and really pick out some really interesting information that can help with hyper personalization. So yeah, you can use AI to hyper personalize your emails when you're sending mass emails to a big list of people.
But you know who I wish would use AI to do that is salespeople on LinkedIn. My title is not CEO or procurement or whatever. So why are you coming to me and messaging me? Does my company want to buy this? No, I'm just an employee, man. But I think this is your point, right? Like, I feel like you need to use technologies to actually allow you to do the real personalized stuff. You need to use technology to allow you to free up people to then be able to communicate person to person. All right. You know, that's literally all the time we have for today, Seb. But wow, that was crazy. So one last question before we go. And everyone else, like I said, right? If you have any specific topics you want to discuss with anything to do with marketing, drop them in the comments. If you want Seb to do a further deep dive into how you can use AI to turbocharge your marketing strategies, drop them in the comments. Final question, Seb, is imagine I've just watched this video. What's the first thing I should do to go and level up my email marketing game?
Update your copywriting skills and just really start drafting out emails and start writing and getting good at just copy and copywriting. I know me and you have like drafted a couple of emails, and it's kind of like a muscle that you kind of need to just train. Copy. Copywriting is important. In fact, copywriting is probably the most important skill that you can have with marketing. And guess what? AI is cool, but people can tell when copy has been written by AI. So nothing beats a human copywriter that's crafted an email in a really nice, fundamentally human way that follows the principles that we've been talking about. P2P, person to person. It has a hook. It has something valuable. Get good at just writing emails. Like, write them, show them to your friends, show them to your colleagues.
What I would add, Seb, is like, and the best way I think to get really good at that is not even to think about emails, is go on social media, go on Twitter or go on LinkedIn and look at like the biggest influencers and the guys that, or the people that get the most engagement. Look at how they write their copy. They use very few words to say a lot, and it's engaging. If your email doesn't engage people like that, I doubt people are going to want to read it. So boom, that was amazing. Thank you so much, Steph, for the insights. We love it. Remember to drop comments so that we can figure out what you guys want us to do a deep dive on next.